Everyone. Yeah, let's start session. Do we have any? I mean, do you all have any questions for the uh, yesterday's session? I mean, the Monday's session. Yes. No. Okay. I hope um, clear understanding what is the discrepancy management and what is the query management, how a query will be written. Yes, you all there? I think I lost you all. Okay. So I hope you all have had a clear understanding on what is the discrepancy management and what is the query management, how a query will be written, and what kind of discrepancy, not what kind of, at least a few discrepancies that can happen with the subject's data that you all seen. And that's how the most of the times the sites makes mistakes, like entry errors and not understanding on the protocol, or something against the protocol, or missing to detailed information to be entered. These are the discrepancy that they do. And when it comes to the data management, other one of the most important part is that collection of adverse events. As I mentioned that, okay, before I talk anything about the adverse event, I would like to ask you all, if you happen to know the definition of adverse event. Yes, any idea on what is a adverse event? Come on, at least you can type. Yes. What happened? No one knows what is the definition of an adverse event. You all can hear me? Can you confirm? Okay. So adverse event is nothing but any untoward medical occurrence, which is in a patient or in a clinical trial participant. Um, it could be due to the medication, or maybe may not be due to the medication. I just said in the lame words. That means if any in a clinical trial participant or in a patient, I've given the both the options. Why? Because let's take an example of clinical trial participant. The person who is participating in a clinical trial may get adverse events during clinical trial. That's everyone knows it. But however, sometimes he may not get the adverse event also. Anything can happen. At the same time, for any adverse event, I mean, for any patient, who is not participate in the clinical trial but taking the medication of what is it called, the released medication, he may get the adverse events, right? So that means not only people who participate in the clinical trial, but people who already who already taken the medication that is released by that is released in the market. Okay. Yes. Clinical, not only, that's what I was trying to tell you guys. Not only, yeah, clinical trial or the during the treatment, that is a general treatment, they may get the adverse event what they've experienced, maybe due to the drug or it may not be due to the drug. It could be any reason. But however, we still call it as an adverse event because he experienced during the treatment also. And here is the one more thing, fact show. You might have a definition of what is that called, concomitant disease. Okay, what is a concomitant disease? Come on, guys. What is the concomitant disease? Okay, the concomitant disease can be the, okay, one disease that occurs are associated with the other disease in the disorder. Okay, so now let me tell you this. During the when the participant or the subjects or the patient participate in a clinical trial, and it is important to understand that before he take a part of clinical trial, that means before he take participate in the clinical trial, or before he, that means before he even sign the informed consent. Okay. So before he sign a informed consent to participate in the clinical trial, the doctor would ask, do you have any existing diseases? Like, do you already have any nausea or any fatigue or any headache, any fever that is continuously happening? Or did you go through any surgeries for last 6 years, 1 month or 1 year, 2 years, 3 years? So they report every concomitant disease. Then they take informed consent. I mean, after informed consent, they'll collect all the concomitant medications. The medication is already taking the disease that the patient is already had and having, and I know that he's experiencing already. The reason that they would collect all the existing diseases while participate, while subject participate in the clinical trial, because it's important for that particular phase, that it's important that if, let's say, patient came after 1 year, 2 years, stating that, hey, I'm experiencing so and so disease because of this medication. No, you already have it before you participate in the clinical trial. That might be triggering again. So no one can come and blame the drug. That is the reason that we would ensure that every adverse event, I mean every concomitant disease, will be collected in clinical trial. Okay, so now let me share my screen. And today we're going to talk about adverse events and the serious adverse event. Do you all know what is a serious adverse event? Come on, guys. You all need to talk.
An adverse event that might be fatal or
Exactly, life
serious,
threatening. Yes,
life
yes,
threatening, yes, sir, yes, sir.
exactly. Very good. Thank you so much. Um, does anyone know what is the AESA, adverse event of special interest? Come on, guys. What is the adverse event of special interest? You all know? Okay, good. So let me share my screen. I'll just explain you all one things. It looks like PV, but it's not a PV session. Okay. Any serious event that caused by the drug which is fatal is serious adverse event. Okay. Good. So let's look into that. Actually, what happens if there are plenty of adverse events that are due to medications. You know, in the history of uh, you know the medical world, the main important point, the main important aspect is always about the drug that can cure the medication. I mean, the drug that can cure the disease, or that can lead to the death also sometimes. There are many medications um, which were actually a l- caused a lot of deaths. There were drugs which made multi-billion companies into the zero. There are drugs. And if you look into this, there are many, if you look into the history of the clinical, I mean, the research, these are the active ingredients that have been withdrawn. Many of you know what is the thalidomide tragedy that had happened, which caused the congenital limb defects in the um, many hundred of people, hundred of kids, and Benexaprofen, hepatotoxicity, and there are other tragedies also that you have seen. And if you look into the ingredients that are mentioned that have been withdrawn due to this serious adverse event, these events that have caused. Okay, so if you want to take note of it, please take note of it. Okay, good. Now, so So this is the reason I just thought of giving. I know that everyone has the definition, but this is the definition. I want you all to have it. So any untoward medical occurrence in a patient or on a clinical trial in clinical investigation subject administered a pharmaceutical product which does not necessarily to have a casual relationship with the treatment. When you go for the interview, um, they expect you to have the definitions that are very, very clear, right? So here I clearly mentioned that any untoward medical occurrence in a patient or in a clinical trial subject which are administered in a pharmaceutical parties product which does not necessarily have a causal relationship with the treatment. And if you see that, what is the unexpected adverse event? An adverse reaction that in nature or severity not consistent with the applicable product information. It's nothing but the investigator brochure. How many of you? Okay. Okay. How many of you know what is the investigator brochure? Come on. How many of you know? I mean, do you all know what is the um, investigator brochure? Come on, you all should know. Which contains complete details of. No, it's not about patient. Investigator brochure. Come on. No, it's not about patient, guys. No, you got wrong. Anyone? Okay, find about it. What is the investigator brochure? Come on, guys, you all should know. Okay, what is the take note of it? What is the serious? Oh, no, sorry, not severe. There is a difference between the severe and serious. The severe is often used to describe the intensity or a specific event, whereas serious, which is based on the patient outcome or action criteria. Okay, so now let's see. A serious adverse event or reactions is any untoward medical occurrence that at any dose result into death, life-threatening, requires inpatient hospitalization or congenital anomaly, and important medical events. Important medical events. Okay, so take note of it, guys. Take note of it, guys, because you all should know at least the definitions of it. Done, guys. So these kind of exams you will not get anywhere. That's the reason I'm just, okay, good. So now, what is the unexpected ADR? An unexpected ADR is one of the nature or severity which is not consistent with the information. So now, again, I'm asking, do you all know what is the package insert? Okay, I got 6 replies. Yes, it can. Someone said about investigator report. It contains about clinical and non-clinical information about the products and the safety, efficacy using the side effects. Very good. What is the package insert? Okay. Now, an unexpected idea is one nature's severity in which there's not consistency with the information and the relevant package insert. If you ever buy any medications or any the syrups or anything, it contains specific information on the detail. It contains specific information about given medication, given syrup in the particular um, box, and it contains about everything. It contains about the what is this made of, and what is the adverse event this medication can cause, and what are the different aspects of you know the treatment this is to be taken, and what is the temperature that we should be taking keep eating of. So that means it provides every information give about the particular medication. So this would help the person to take the decision whether this medication to take or not based on the adverse event, and also that whether this medication would whom to give these medications and all. Okay, now, so what are the now everyone thinks that what kind of adverse events that needs to be reported, right? So take note of it. That is, adverse drug reactions that are associated with vaccines, diagnostics, and drugs that are used in the traditional medicines, and herbal remedies, cosmetics, medical devices, equipments, all the details. Also, that abnormal test findings, um, hypersensitivity reactions, um, progressions or worsening of underlying diseases and drug interactions and antimicrobial resistance. All these details needs to be documented. And also that lack of efficacy. So whenever the lack of efficacy, the drugs that does not have any efficacy, suspected pharmaceutical defects, the defects that are due to the the defect in the medications, and overdose, drug abuses, exposures, medication error, occupational exposure, off label. So these are the adverse event that needs to be reported. Take note of it, guys. So this might be a 100% question if you go to the pharmacovigilance or if you go to the data management, that what are the adverse events that needs to be reported. Yes, take note of it. Don't miss it. Okay. Okay. So I don't want mm, this all this kind of things and all. But now let's talk about the serious adverse events specifically. Any questions so far, guys? Any questions? Okay. Let's talk about more on SAEs now. Yes, the definition of an SAE, investigator brochure, and and adverse event of special interest, and investigator brochure, safety information. This all this important information. Okay, I mean important definition that you should have complete idea. Otherwise, what happens that if you don't know this basic answers, they might not consider you for the any of the role. Okay. So I hope you all can see my screen. So we're going to talk about safety data management and the SA reporting and the reconciliation. So you all seen what is an adverse event. You have seen the adverse drug reactions or serious adverse events. Yes. The relationship between the adverse events and the adverse drug reactions, SAE, nothing but all adverse, all adverse drug reactions are adverse events, but all AEs are not ADRs. Whereas all SAs are AEs, but all AEs are not SAs. Can someone explain me what does it mean? Did you get? Come on, guys. Anyone got any? What does it mean? ADRs is are specific, but they include everything, whatever happens. That's why all ADR. Okay. Anything else? Anyone else? Come on, guys. Okay. So should know. So, as per the ICH-GCP guidelines 4.11, so investigate all serious adverse events should be reported immediately. And to the sponsor, except for those SAE that are protocol or other document. So that means it says that all serious adverse event. That means that affected to the patients, basically life-threatening and death cases or everything, especially during the clinical trial, it has to report to the sponsor within 24 hours of their awareness. That means within 24 hours of once they get to know. And the immediate and follow-up report should identify. The immediate and follow-up means once the patient um, experience the adverse event, and they're supposed to whether they're supposed to provide all the details to the regulatory authorities. And after that, there is also one more thing. On they have to do the follow-up. The follow-ups are nothing but how the patient is doing. And also that whenever there is some details that are missing till the patient experience the particular whether it is resolved or not resolved, they keep providing the particular serious adverse event details. And now, if you look into the 4.11.2, it says that adverse event and our laboratory abnormalities identified in the protocol, is a critical to safety evaluations, and should be reported to the sponsor according to the specific guidelines. And for any reported deaths, the investigator should supply the sponsor and the IRB IEC with any additional information about the autopsy reports and the terminal medical. So these are not something, many years back, we do not have a proper safety reporting. So when I say proper safety reporting means, that means no one is reporting a serious adverse event to the regulatory authorities. It was really an issue, became an issue that when where there when the serious adverse events are not being reported to the regulatory authority, it became an issue, right? It became issue in the sense of that the regulatory authorities have an issue the notice to all the sponsor companies that they are supposed to provide all the serious adverse event the patients are experiencing. Not only that, even the adverse event of special interest. Right. Now, the sponsor of ADR reporting. So the ADR is nothing but adverse drug reactions. The sponsor should expect. So that means if you see that I'm trying to explain you all about the responsibility of the sponsor, investigator, and the site responsibility. I mean the subject responsibilities in order to explain or in order to report every adverse event they're experiencing. Yes. So one is that investor safety reporting and the adverse event and serious adverse event and the adverse drug reactions. So what I would say, just take the ICGCP 4.11, these points, then I want you all to read about it. Take note of it. Okay, guys. Mm, Okay. So what are the details that we would be collecting from any patients? So especially when it comes to the protocol, we will be collecting the protocol details, especially in the clinical trials, subject identifications and the demographic fields, dosing details, event and the case numbers, and event term and other details, disposition details, concomitant medication. So whenever we are collecting any adverse event or the serious adverse event details from the patient, we're supposed to collect these data elements. And so now I'm going to give you a few points. Take note of it. There are different databases in the clinical research. Okay, so write it down. There are two different databases. Take note of it. There are two different databases. There are two different databases. One is clinical data management database. Clinical data management database. Second one is safety database. Second one is safety database. So one is clinical data management database. Second one is the safety databases. Okay. Now, in the clinical data management, all the data points that are collected about um, patient concomitant disease, patient demographics information, patients medication details, everything. But in the safety database, everything will be collected about only adverse events. I mean, it's collected everything about adverse event, serious adverse event information. So take note of it. The example for safety database, Argus and RSZ, ARGUS, Argus. Okay, Argus and RSZ, ARISZ. Okay, guys. Any questions? Any questions? Okay, guys. If no questions, that's all from my end, and we'll catch you all in the next session. Thank you so much, guys. Bye bye.